I wanted to talk about the Brass Cellar Heritage line. So the Brass Cellar Heritage line is a limited line of unique instruments. To date, there are 6 that have been made, and they have been made from 3 different creators. So BC 1, 2, and 3 were made by Ewan Divot, who's a great up-and-coming custom horn maker in Toronto, Canada. I think he may have put out about 30 or 40 horns right now, and he's definitely gaining traction. BC 4 and BC 6 were created by Kevin Powers in Michigan, and BC 5 was created by Josh Landris in New York. At the moment, I have 7 and 8 currently in production, and they're going to be a couple of interesting ones. I still have numbers 4 and 6 still available, and I've got 4 with me right here. But I thought I'd just backtrack and talk about what the Heritage line is. The Heritage line is basically me testing the idea that a horn can develop a character and a story of its own as it passes through different people. So the thought behind it was every single one was unique and individual, and they all have names. They all have different names, and I named them based on their personalities. And they're all named after women, and usually strong women's names, or they're named in a particular way. So BC4 that I have with me right now is called Lavina, and I have also BC6 is called Braylon. So those are 2 different ones. BC3 is called Janan. BC1, all the names escaped me at the top. Adira, and BC2, name escapes me right now, but I'll get to it. You can check all about the whole story, etc., on the website under the Brass Cellar Heritage line. But basically, what it is me having an idea and a concept, and this all came about thanks to the generosity of Roy Lawler at Lawler Trumpets. I was able to purchase the last 29 bells he had sitting in the workshop when he went out of business making trumpets. He gave them to me at a fantastic price, and that's the only reason that the instruments aren't priced at $3,000-4,000, because he gave me such a great deal on those last remaining bells, because I explained the whole concept behind them, and he gave me a great price. So I had Lawler C7 bells, TR bells, TL bells, I had cornet bells, large bore bells, engraved bells, super deluxe bells, and I've still got some of those, and you'll see some more of those coming up. I'm also starting to experiment with some different bells, so you might see a Shilky bell coming up on one of the next iterations. I was able to get my hands on a sterling silver B1 tuning bell, so I'm working with a designer on that one. So what I wanted to do was take parts. So some like horns like BC 1, 2, and 3 use newer parts. In particular, those all had the Carol Brass Hoxengaki valve sets, because they make a good quality valve set at a really great price. 4 and 6 use a Martin Indiana valve block, and BC 5 used a Martin Committee valve block. And depending on the parts I can source and have available will dictate which design element that we go through. But ultimately, I'll ship additional parts to a horn maker, and they will have creative license about how it's put together, in the goal of presenting an instrument that represents their style, and also has a certain characteristic to it. So I might say, hey, can you build me a great jazz horn? Here's the things that I'm thinking. Or here, can you build me a super bright lead horn? So the horn maker, and they're all obviously custom horn makers with untold skill, can tweak the design based on the parts that I give them, and I give them a couple of options. Typically, I might give them a couple of options on braces, tuning slides, lead pipes, or they might get the parts and say, actually, I think you should go in this direction, so we have a discussion about that. So yeah, so that's the story behind it. The idea was to create something that's completely unique for each different one. So that's what I've created. Now, because it's such limited in terms of parts and availability, there's probably only going to be about a dozen of these ever made. As I say, I'm halfway through the process. 7 or 8 are being worked on right now, and I still have BC 4 and 6, which I will demonstrate in a minute. So that's the reason behind the Brush Cellar Heritage line. I wanted to create something super unique. Each one comes with just a note about like all the different parts and everything. I sign them off. The idea is that everyone has a letter, and it's as it passes to the next owner, the letter transfers to the owner. So you get to actually have a history of who owned the horn, what kind of playing they did, and where it was in a particular time. And I hope, you know, over a 10, 15, maybe 20-year period that they end up like in all different parts of the world. I definitely hope that that's the case. So that's the idea behind it. And obviously the idea is they build their own story as they travel through. They're all highly made, high quality instruments made by the best people I can find available. So that's kind of a gist behind it. If you have any questions, send me questions. Again, like I say, you can read all about it on the Brush Cellar website, and I'll do some demos in a second. So.